paid $20 a month to have us in that Catholic school. Do you know why? Well, first, watch me insult everybody fast. Catholicism is the only real Christianity. Every other version of Christianity is watered down Catholicism by a bunch of pussies who couldn't walk the talk. Boom. There you go. You can argue about that for 4 hours now. And ask me if I care that bothers you. Well, I'm a Lutheran. Whatever, you're watered down Catholic, Freddie. Like it or not. So there's Judaism, which leads to Catholicism. Tell people this, and they jump out the window. If you're any kind of Christian, you already are a Jew. That's right. All Christianity came out of the Jew, as Shakespeare wrote eloquently, and I loved rewriting in high school, The Merchant of Venice. Shylock, doth not a Jew bleed? Of course, anti-Semitism is as old as the hills. But why? Because they're religious people. Nobody likes people too crazy religious. Oh, really? Is there something going on like that in the news right now, Mr. Till? So here's another wake-up call. Islam is also tacked on.
It's the Ed Till Show.
It's also a tack on. It's not a completely different thing. It's an addendum. So the only things that are really unique, like if you want to talk about diversity of religion, I'll give you some diversity. Science. There's some goddamn diversity. Whatever ooga booga thing you need to go to sleep with at night, a vampire or whatever you're afraid of, the bad news is nature is much more scary. The whole goddamn planet is heating up. It has nothing to do with how much coal. You must be kidding yourself. If you think, this is how self-centered people are, though. This is what they used to tell us back to the nuns, right? Discipline. Don't be self-centered. We were taught as don't start every sentence with I. That's rude. And you go, really? How could that be rude? You're a kid. It's rude. You have to be considerate of who's listening to you. What, do you think they want to hear about you? Why would they want to hear about you? And you go, oh, and then you're a kid. You don't know any answers. You just do what you're told. By the time the 5th grade comes around, you're behaving. Now, in 2nd grade, you don't want to do one single thing that's on the list. You don't want to, pay attention to anything. You don't want to do it. You don't want to know the overall reason. You don't want to know anything. You're 2nd grade. What do you know? When I went to 2nd grade, we were tying our tie. We were making a knot in our tie, and we were doing cursive writing, which will not be done, I'm sure. I'm sure that's off the list. At the great public school system, the great phenomenal public school system. This one here is a teacher and a liberal. So she has a sign in the front lawn, would you please raise my taxes? And you go, for what? You're going to get them all iPads? No, just for, shortfalls. Shortfalls? You just because? Yes. I mean, it's like on Shark Tank. Oh, after I give you this money, what will you do with it? Nothing different. I owe all that money. I go, how is that possible? The billions, trillions have been spent since the last 100 years? Take the last 100 years, every nickel spent on a public school. And the best school was always a little tiny school. My elementary school I told you about, Catholic school, it was tiny. That thing was tiny. Now, tiny if you looked at the building. It was tiny. You say, well, look, that's a school? You say, yeah, look at the door. So, all right, that's a big door. Okay. But we were the most modest little barracks you ever saw. It was the most unimaginative architecture in the book because the whole point of it was to be a school, a little tiny school. It was built in 1916, so there was nobody around population-wise compared to 100 years later. So the concept was everything that we're doing today. Micro, Facebook, Google, local. The best education happened. I lived across the street from the school. Nobody lived more than a few blocks away. That's the way it was. Nobody told you to do this. No government had to organize it for you. Nothing. This is what good people do. Good people just do the right thing. Nobody telling anybody what. And everybody was broke and poor. Broken. Why? Because none of the fathers went to college. It was not one college graduate within a mile of my birth, and except the doctors who treated us. If you went to the doctor or the dentist, that was your exposure to a college person. Aside from that, so just people doing it right. Just didn't, watch this. This'll another one. Get ready, jump out the window. Here's your worst nightmare. You might not be happy every day. Oh, Jesus, I can't. I mean, I've read every book. I've gone to every website. I mean, if there's anything, I have to be happy. And you go, well, you might have to not be happy for a while and get these things done right. Then you have what's called delayed gratification. You get something good, comes to you later. Oh, I don't know, what is this, time traveling? Come on, everybody, all the crazy storylines, to all the main events. It tells a voice in the wilderness. Now, in contrast to everything I was saying about Bob earlier and Mark Cuban earlier, I have a oh, there you go. See, the nuns would be like, why? Why would you say I? We told you 100 times not to say I. Why would you still do it? I said, because I'm persistent. Because you're disobedient. And nothing fell apart. I didn't have to go to therapy. My parents didn't get an immediate divorce. The global warming didn't accelerate. Sinkhole did not open up. Come on, everybody.
Departure. One of the things, the first thing I looked at were the PIMCO
was Ed Till. That's the first thing I looked at.
Shut up. So pick up the freaking phone.
First thing I looked at was Ed Till when I walked in.
% premium. So I think they're still somewhat in denial around.
Oh, yeah. If there's anybody who's in denial, it is Edward Till, the host. By the way, do you know that's how I'm Googled now? This is crazy. I don't know what happened. The minute I mentioned my name was Edward, it came up in comedy. In comedy, much more than radio. I don't know why. My name never came up in radio. It was never a point of discussion. Came up in comedy a lot. How people say my name, people what they think of my name, what they expect to see. Well, Edward, So, all of a sudden, it shows up on Google. If you put in Edward Till, it goes, oh, there's Edward Till. Ed Till, you're going to keep hitting enter, and Ed Till this, and Ed Till the host, and Ed Till the douchebag, and Ed Till the idiot. I don't know why that would be. I have no idea. So, something's rigged up in there, too.
There's a lot of money coming out.
That's it. It's all about the money.
Into the conversation, who's with us. I mentioned Bob.
Yeah, I'll tell you who's here for the conversation. Me. Guess who's not here for the conversation? Some little bubble-headed bleach blonde, to borrow a phrase from the very nasty Don Henley. Boy, I don't know, maybe I like Don Henley because he's an a-hole, and then some days I'm like, what are you breaking my balls for? I'm all promoting your music. Ed Till Show, Starcom Radio Network, across America, AM/FM stations. Have a new station come. I can't give away trade secrets. This is not, I'm violating my confidentiality agreement. Didn't you ever see the Russell Crowe, Al Pacino movie, The Insider? I'm violating my... You know what I am violating? I'm violating nature because I feel like any minute my head is going to explode, my heart is going to give out. I think that was my opening comment. If I don't live through the show, I want you to know I've been out there trying to take that sign off her front lawn, and maybe it cost me my life. What do I know? I do have chest pains now. At my age, when you hear chest pain, feel chest pain, you go, Jesus, would I know the difference? I've been having chest pains my whole life, right? You play basketball or whatever, you get... But at this age, you're like 58, that's when they start. See, that's when the heart attacks that are natural, they go, died of natural causes. At 58? Well, how could it be natural? Well, statistically, if you put an algorithm together... The guy said it yesterday. Some old dude got on, I forgot what he was on. He was on Adderall or something. He gets all fired up in the clubhouse. And he starts making a speech to these two women. And the reason they were listening is they couldn't get up. These women in my area that I socialize in, that I like to call the retirement community, because some people retire early. There's a lot of hot babes, 48, 47 years old, walking around retirement communities. And for them, it's like being 19 all over again. They're hot. All the guys are chasing them. Most of the guys are losers. They get a big reception. Well, these poor little Bettys were just sitting there. They had their little pocketbook and their gloves and, little floral prints. They're adorable. Some of them, two of them yesterday, three of them had hats on. They had a little hat on. So they're sitting there. This guy is going off. I don't believe they want to have another tax on the schools. And these women are like, they don't, you can tell they don't, it's like a little Kesha Rihanna here. I always know that when the girls are singing, I said, well, then we're connecting with the young people, the millennials. Those are the millennials. Millennials love that. It's a Kesha, Rihanna.
The Ed Till Show.
Kind of a duet.
He's Ed Till.
The fact is, the dollar was cheap. Okay.
The fact is, I'm pretty cheap. When you look at the stock market, if you want to look at me as price per share. All right, so anyway, we're back today live. Yesterday was a nightmare. I'm sure it'll be a funny story that I can tell tomorrow. But right now, I'm in so much pain because of yesterday. And also because, well, first of all, we were shown up to be the little pussy that we are by not being on Bob's show this morning. Because once again, guess who? Couldn't get up early enough, make himself a cup of coffee, do the laundry, clean the house, drive the kids to school, and get back on time. Guess who couldn't? Guess what grandfather got the kids to school late? And then everybody looks at me, and they don't want to yell at me because I know I'm the grandfather, and I'm driving the kids. But at the same time, everybody's pissed off at me. So it's horrible. They all hate me. And then they can't say it, but I still feel hated. And then I'm driving back, and I'm like, Bob's looking for me now. And then I'm not allowed to use the handset, in the car. Get ticket for that. $250 ticket if you're holding the phone. So I'm punching away.
Safety scares there amid allegations there's a form of supply.
Yeah, I'll give you a safety scare. Here's a safety scare. I was punching the steering wheel with both hands. Come on, everybody, It looked like Ringo Starr's drumsticks broke. Looked like Ringo broke his drumsticks and he still had to keep playing. That's what it looked like. I was punching the steering wheel. I'm like, I can't believe it. Bob Williams, he gets up 2 hours, he's on the air 2 hours before you get up. Which means he's probably awake from 4 in the morning or whatever. He's got tornado warnings out or whatever he does. He does something for the government, I don't know, in a mountain. He goes to a mountainside, he drives in there, they let his car in, and then he takes readings for the military to let them, I think, know what the weather is going to be or something. But he gets all the advanced knowledge on what's going to happen at 4 o'clock in the morning, this guy.
In the previous scare in 2012, Jeff Farmer, an analyst at Wells Fargo, points out that...
I've had plenty of scares since 2012. I like how she says, like as if we've only been scared once since 2012. That's my little Becky. Oh, it's not even Becky. They keep, Becky gets less and less airtime. Becky's the only good woman left in American broadcasting. Is this all going down on the machines? All right, so we're on the YouTube. We're on the Ustream Live, and we better be rolling this goddamn tape. The other day I did 90 minutes, and we didn't tape it, and now the weekend can't hear that. It's JCPenney Day, the day for the analyst to report on the stock. How many people thought JCPenney would never see this day last Christmas? All you little chicken littles. Oh, JCPenney is... I told you it would be around. I also told you about, I'm not going to rub it in, but we're making money, aren't we? He's just a voice. When I give you a stock pick, when do I give it to you? Always in the fourth quarter. I always give you a stock pick in December that you can last until next December on. Yeah. My man Ed.
Facts with a razor.
My man Barack Obama.
That, my friend, can be mightily intense.
A poor guy. They broke his name, didn't they? They wore out his name. If you mention the president by name, everybody groans. Half the room feels sorry for him. They feel like he's getting a raw deal. The other half of the room is angry at him, think he's doing a lousy job. This is no way. It's not good for the country that it's always a negative. Not good.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm Mike.
Hey, I'm Ed. What do you? I'm Mike. What's that about? All the commercials say this now. Remember the guy? He puts the name of his broker in there. I'm not a TD broker. I'm a Jane T. Oh, this is sick. They didn't go to Catholic school. Here's Becky.
As a move over the next 25
I
years.
love her. You know why? She's smart and beautiful, and she has. She does. She's like Bob Williams. She gets up on time. Her show starts at 6 a.m. She's on TV. So she's up at 3:30, out in the burbs, gets in the town car. I had to do the same drill in New Orleans. In New Orleans, I had the same drill as these crazy people. I had the morning show. Had to be on 6. So at 3:05 in the morning. It's crazy. 3:05 in the morning, the clock will go off. And this is in New Orleans, so I was how old? I was like 33 years old. I'm in there at 3:05 in the bathroom. I'm in the bathroom at 3:05 with a toothbrush, and I'm ready to kill somebody. I'm absolutely thinking about taking the toothbrush and my fist and putting it right through the glass, which will get some good blood going for the CSI team to track me. And then I'm just going to go insane. Then the lights are on.
Now that's classy.
Yeah, it is, but it's true. I mean, I'm talking about the 1980s. People weren't even born. Listening to the show weren't even born yet. Say, what's this thing called? And I say, what? You know how you talk about a little bit of this, a little bit of that? Oh, Jesus Christ. Here we go again. Is this what we're going to start with? Oh, I'm sorry. It didn't have a... Now I'd like to announce the topic. Wait, do I not sound like Glenn Beck? Should I quick run and ask Glenn? Glenn, how should I open the segment? Shut up. What is it called? What's this? How do you describe your style? This style that you have? It's called being right, you idiot.
Started off the event very simply with a little fanfare, no big presentation music. He simply came out and began going through the state of the company, where the company is, and perhaps some growth initiatives, though not going into much detail. He said in July, we had the same number of active consumers as we did in 2011.
That's awesome. That's great retention. Okay, look, Edward Till, as they call me. If you're on Google, which I remember when I was against Google, I was against everything at one time or another. It's another reason I like Bob Williams' show. Upfront and outspoken, Starcom Radio Network. He's on crack of dawn. Well, first he has to go to work for the Defense Department. I don't know what he does. He has to go do Morse code. He goes up in a mountain, he gets some iron ore, and he connects it to some kind of thing, man. And then they take their readings, and then they know if it's going to rain, if they're going to fly over, how fast they can fly. Say, really? Oh, come on. Does that sound like I'm making it up? He's great. Upfront and outspoken, Bob Williams. He's like J.C. Penney. He's in there. J.C. Penney's going to be around. And J.C. Penney was started by a couple of dudes in a room. They go, Alibaba was started by a couple of dudes in a room. I don't understand. Wasn't every business at one time, dudettes, a couple of people in a room? They make a big deal. Google was started in a room with just a few people. Everything was started in a room with a few people.
Been under pressure for the last month. It's
There we
down,
go.
even with the
This
rise
guy.
today, about 14%.
I love this guy.
There is some speculation they might amass.
Oh,
they might
Jesus.
announce
This guy's
mass store
great.
closings. 30 or 60.
He always has something antagonistic. They love to be patty cake when they're on the business channel, right? oh, your company is so good. How are your earnings today? It's always such a kiss-ass thing. When he comes on, I forget his name.
Make the fleet more efficient, but simply because it's very hard to do because of the way that the
I'll tell you what's hard to do. It's hard to get that exact color yellow dyed into your hair that way.
in their control.
That is some bad Revlon job, honey. Can we get back to the British dude? Because that's the guy who's, he starts trouble on every financial report. He goes, but the United States doesn't have any cash flow. Well, so he just starts, whenever everybody seems to be like happy about whatever the news is, right away he throws a monkey wrench. That's his job. But he's the only one that does it on this channel.
Speaking of expensive, a lot of analysts argue that the stock still reflects a multi-year.
See how they take it away? As soon as the British guy starts to become contentious, they go back to Carl over here. See, Carl is another nice fella. Carl right now, what stock do you want? If you name a stock, he's got it. You want a report, he's got it. You know, he's got to never tell you no about anything.
It doesn't make much sense.
Now David Faber, he will tell you no. The other guy in the pit there, the Santelli, he'll tell you no. They'll go, so, boy, it really seems like a terrific day for the street, doesn't it? And Santelli go, I don't really think so. That's what the conventional wisdom is. And you say, oh, here he comes.
Discounts, and maybe this is their wheelhouse now.
Yeah, and Stern AG points out that after 4 straight EPS misses, the fact that this was such a big beat is actually good.
Simon, isn't it Simon? I think his name is Simon. They're all named Simon, all these British guys. Simon! And he goes, well, I've looked at their last 4 quarters of profit, and it's been substantially below expectations on the street. And say, what are you trying to say? Why won't you just say it? And then Carl comes in.
At the pre-market on this Wednesday, a lot more squawk on the street from the NYSE.
There you go. Hey, I'm Carl, and, my last name is Quintilla, so you do what you want, Ed Tilla. I've been called Ed Tilla the Hun. I've heard that one. Oh, God. We're back today, finally. I really don't enjoy most of my personal life. I enjoy a little bit of my personal life, and that's the part I talk about. I try to hype it to myself to keep myself in a good mood. People go, you're always in such a good mood. I go, that's not really for you. That's me trying to, not jump off something. So most of my personal life is miserable, and I don't enjoy it at all. I'm either smoking too many cigarettes or drinking too much vodka or measuring. I go on the internet. How high do you have to jump to not wind up in a coma? And make sure, the search engine says the same thing every time. Cannot search rambling sentence. I went and saw my pizza buddy yesterday. This shows you I grow. People go, oh, Ed Till, I used to listen to him years ago. Say, well, Ed Till is still evolving, like a chameleon changes colors. Ed Till's still got a few shades left. And I still don't know what shades of gray is, and I still don't care. First I thought it was for old people. I said, it's about old people having sex in a nursing home, right? Shades of gray? No. I said, what is it 50 ways to have sex? No. I said, well, then I don't want to know. So my buddy at the pizzeria. But I say pizzeria, it's not a pizzeria. 40 years ago, is it? 38 years ago? A long time ago. I go away to school, my first time living on my own, in the campus apartments. It wasn't a dormitory. It was an actual campus apartment. So you had all the responsibilities of the entire apartment. And across the street...
Till Show.
I really need some coffee. You think this kid is going to work on the show? That'd be something. I hope she does. We could have the next congresswoman. She writes about the internship. She goes... I'm not, she goes, it was great when you said that we should learn. I taught them, I went and did a class and offered an internship. And I said, what you should learn today from all of your teachers, not just me, always ask your teacher, how do I make money with this? Because you got to make cash today. You can't wind up a robot gets your job or your job is $8 an hour and a little kid feels bad for you. You can't wind up like that. So she writes, even though the money part was tempting, she writes, it's the thought that I would be speaking on the air and other people would be listening. She goes, that's exhilarating. I said, oh my God, they're so young. I just love kids. This is why you love kids. I mean, I was her. Here's a movie. Jeffrey Tambor will be playing the part I just described. No, I mean, I felt exactly like this kid wrote. I remember, and it's almost around the same age. I don't know how old college kids are anymore. It's a little more difficult. Years ago, freshmen were 18, 19. Sophomores are 20. Juniors are 21. You graduated 22. And if you were a real slow poke and you dragged it out, you graduated at 23. Now, today, they're in college by 16 because they're advanced, and then they get out of college when they're 29, and you say 13 years of college, and they go, well, it's two different people. See how I don't like that other girl's voice?
I don't think so. I think
so. Oh, look at the 10-year note went up. How the hell did the 10-year note get? Oh, all right, whatever. Is 2.3% interest on your money? Does that sound like a good deal? For 10 years locked in? Would you lock in a 2% growth for 10 years? Listen, half the audience would. Half the people listening would say, you know something? It's a government note. It's not going to go bust no matter what they do. They'll still pay these things off. You'd be holding a note like China. China holds all those notes. China is so smart. I can't believe China bought Waldorf. Incredible. I love the Waldorf. And the Chinese bought it, but they're smart. They don't take over operation until 100 years. So everybody knows that the Waldorf will be there in 100 years. New York will be there in 100 years. But they're going to wait for all of us to die. Everybody who loves the Waldorf under the current, we're going to be dead. One day, they're going to go ding, ding, and some Chinese guy is going to walk out, and somebody's going to go, may I have a room? And the guy will be, yes, very nice to see you. Very good to see you. Nice to have you at the... Oh, we're going to start with the Waldorf pronunciations. That's it. So they put it off 100 years. They put off the takeover for 100 years. There's not going to be any Chinese guy at the desk but 100 years. So that means in the year, 2114. Oh, my God. Multiples are of 7. 3 times 7 is 21. 7 times 2 is 14. Wow. That's a year to bet on. But we won't be here. I would be 158. That's what Larry King wants. Larry says that doctors have told him he could live to 158. And I always say, I thought you were 158. I love him. I'm one of Larry King's biggest fans. If I told you how many stories Larry King and I, back in the 80s, oh, please. I slept on the couch in that studio. He's got Jimmy Carter in the other room. Because he was on all night, from midnight to 6. So we'd hang out, and I'd watch the show for like an hour, but I was up all day. I would drive from Baltimore over to D.C. So he had open phones at 3, and then Jim Bohannon's 5:30. It was an insane thing. We didn't get out of the building until like 6 a.m. So I would fall asleep in the waiting room on a chair. My neck would get all twisted up. But it's Larry. So one time I wake up, and I'm like, oh, my God, I love to do it. It's an adventure. It's like what I said earlier. It's always a good idea until 13 hours go by. Larry said, you want to drive over and come for the show?
Come on, he's driving you crazy. Shut up. So pick up the freaking phone. It's the Ed Till Show. Come on, everybody.
So now we have a new hookup for the phones. It's supposed to save us money and everything and make the sound quality was awesome. We have a new phone number, not for the air, but in other words, a new phone system. When you dial our toll-free number, 855-GET-EBOLA. No, it's 8... Call a toll-free number, 855-GET-EBOLA. What? Who's on the other end of that? It's the Ed Till Show's call-in number. You're kidding. What is he trying to do? Break balls, be an asshole like he always. Yeah. No, the phone number is 855-GET-TILL, T-Y-L-L. But it's going to come routed through this high fidelity. I couldn't believe it, to tell you the truth. When I heard it, I said, "You really, we can do this?" And the guy says, "Yeah." He goes, "It's affordable." I said, "All right." And it is. It's like, I don't know, it's $5 a month. It's not even proprietary. It's just, do you know what a VoIP is? You probably don't know what that is. I didn't know what it was. It's a voice over internet protocol. Exactly. That's right. There you go. Good night. As soon as you say the word protocol, people are like, yeah, I got time for that. All it means is using the internet. But the way they do it, it's the sound quality is enhanced. That's all I can say. It's just like using a radio transmitter, but you don't have to use a radio transmitter. You get to use this band of the internet, and it's a telephone call. It sounds like like a live report. It was incredible. So we have it, but I don't think I turned it on. I think it's sitting there. I tested. Mark liked it. Mark Goldman was impressed by it last evening. I had to notify him what was up, and yeah, it sounds great.
Oh. Yeah. Meantime, David, people...
In the meantime, I didn't turn it on. And here's the other thing. The phone is on the other side of the room. So if people start calling, the network has got all kinds of good programming ideas. They have I can't give it away. It's a trade secret. But all I can say is it involves the phones. And Bob Williams' phones are always jumping off the hook. Me, I don't even turn the damn thing on or even worry about it. Frankly, I say secretly in my head, I go, you didn't turn the phone on today. And half of me says, good. That way, I don't have to listen to anybody. I don't have to hear anybody's voice. That's great. I don't think we can have Carol Costello, her voice on anymore. That's impossible. That was on in the clubhouse yesterday. All the old people that I hang out with, they love her. Oh, it's Carol. Hello. They say hello to the TV. I had breakfast at Lily's breakfast restaurant yesterday. We all did. Everybody who was affected by the conditions, the flash flood conditions. It's true, man. I've lived through blizzards, hurricanes, tornadoes, a flash flood. That was the new one. The new one is the flash flood. Do you know about a flash flood? When it comes, the river just whoosh. It's hysterical. All right. Why don't you keep talking about J.C. Penney? Jesus H. Easter Sunday. We get it.
To get to sales figures, even before Ron Johnson took over, $17 billion in sales, they have a little more than $4 billion to go. That's why that question of how they're going to drive long-term sales growth is going to be so key, as Courtney said, hoping for some sort of strategy there. Not to mention the fact that he has to pick a new CEO. He just came in there as sort of an interim guy to keep the chain from bleeding.
Well, the board has to do that.
Correct.
But he is now not the interim guy. I mean, they have not actually been talking about a new CEO for a while. It does appear that he's going to have that job for a bit more to come, Mr. Ullman. But yeah, he did originally come in. Then we stopped hearing interim.
Yeah,
it's been a while now.
But he did stop the bleeding, as he said.
Absolutely.
A lot of analyst moves today. Stiefel initiates Cummins engine. If Jim were here, he'd love to talk about this one. They take it with a buy. Price target 160, which is going to be about 18% upside. Talking about strong replacement demographics in the medium truck market, better freight demand. If you're generally bullish on the U.S. economy, you're going to guess that more goods are shipped around the country, intermodally, by road, and that's certainly what Stifel's counting on.
I think in addition to that, it's the fact that these diesel engines are in the middle of an upgrade cycle. In other words, the technology that surrounds them has changed, and therefore that people will be tempted to replace the tractors, replace agricultural equipment, in addition to other things. So I think that's really what they're aiming at. But that's certainly a very big call, 18% upside. I'm not sure where we opened there.
Grubhub, by the way, JMP initiates with an outperform, saying they're getting good feedback from restaurants. One of the well-known IPOs of the year. That's going to be almost a 2% increase, not anywhere near the highs, though, since it went public.
They like the margin story on this, too, says there's a potential. While we're on the food beat, just want to point out Coca-Cola, if we could. Shares have been absolutely soaring. They're actually at the highest level since 1998. Interesting research note came out from BMO commenting on this whole new idea of Coca-Cola going after big bets, taking a stake in Monster Beverage, taking a stake in Keurig Green Mountain, which we know has been a big winner lately. BMO analysts actually say eventually the company, Coca-Cola, will increase the stake in Monster to full ownership over the next 3 to 5 years. So something to watch as Coke is after those faster growing.
As we look at that chart, which has now changed, as we look at that 10-year chart, that gives a greater context. And it's only doubled, though, over 10 years. So this is a very depressed stock. It has not made the types of gains as the board.
I told you that's what he does, right? That's his thing. That's his whole thing, man. He's the best at that.
The Ed Till Show. He's Ed Till.
A lot of exposure to Russia, so it'll be interesting to see.
I'll give you Russia. Ugats. You know what Ugats is? That means you got nothing. Ugats.
Working class in a place they call the Bronx.
Now, today is Wednesday, correct? Thank God. All right, so I'll be at the sports page tonight in Satellite Beach, performing live if, the good Lord willing and the creek don't rise. Larry King right there. Larry. Hey, Larry, it's the first time I called your show. Yesterday, in the clubhouse, little Margaret comes over and changes it to C-SPAN. And I was like, I love you. Because I was getting tired of the same, repetitive thing. And they go to the phones on C-SPAN. And it's my favorite. I say, like, this, I would love to have breakfast with everyone who's ever called C-SPAN. I would just count off all the rest of my breakfasts left in my life. What do you get, 300 and some odd a year? How many breakfasts do you get in a year? 365, right. So 3 years, 1,000? Okay, so figure it out. Schedule me for breakfast with these women. It started out like this yesterday. She says, honestly, I swear to God, she says it like this.
Come on, everybody.
She goes, I have never called a TV show before. Nobody has. I mean, the number of people have called it television, it's not done. But she felt at that moment when she was calling C-SPAN, I forgot what the town, some beautiful town, maybe one of ours, like Francis, Utah, or someplace beautiful like that. She, Moores, New York, I should give a lot more coverage to, but, just a few miles north of our studios and our flagship operation. Here he is.
Well, that's the bigger issue now.
There we go. See, every word out of his mouth is, well, that's the bigger issue now. This guy is the best financial guy of all. He can handle that whole goddamn network. He can do what I did. You could put him on at 9 o'clock in the morning and run him all day until the stock market closes. And Carl always tries to stay relevant to whatever he says. Troublemaker goes first. Simon. Yeah. And right away.
On some refiners as they think that differential between...
You see how Carl always tries to help the situation. The little Simon guy always finds a problem. Well, they don't have any cash flow. And Carl always be like, well, they might have a little bit of cash laying around from that deal they did with Exxon. And Simon then, doesn't punch out Carl like many guys on Wall Street would, with some closer comment that you could tell they're talking in Simon's ear. Simon, go easy on Carl. Simon, take it easy.
Going on there. If we were to hit that, you do wonder whether that would...
You see how David is the in-betweener? He's like, well, Carl, this may not be the place to make your stand.
Ed Till's got all the news and storylines, talking about all the main events.
I'll be at the sports page in Satellite Beach. I'm going every Wednesday. They said I can come every Wednesday. I said, really? I said, you sure? Have you heard what I do when I'm up there? Oh, yeah, no, really, come on. And the guy who puts it on is great. You know, he would be a good guest. We should have him on Wednesdays in the afternoon. And then we do the show, or maybe Thursday. Maybe I should have him on after. I don't know. We should have him on, though. Because he's a conversational, a pleasant, also an old guy. We're all, you see, we're not even really old, but because there's so many millennials now, there's a baby boomlet out there, since there's we're being looked at as old, even though we're not really old. We're not really, even Willie Nelson, who I saw here this morning. Ed Till. This guy looked like Earl Scruggs outside. And I'm like, you know, what do you care? You know, but I said, you know, it's the way it looks. He goes, just whatever, keep moving. We don't have to all look like you. I said, all right, Willie Nelson, but you know, you draw a lot of attention with that outfit. You know, you got the Bruce Springsteen bandana, you got the white flowing locks, then you got the beard he's got a beard like God. He's got one of those God beards. You know what a God beard looks like. It's just everywhere, but it's perfectly white with intricate textures of gray. You know, he's walking around and you're like, you're waiting for an angel to follow, or maybe not an angel, maybe exactly, maybe the Brando and the Wild Ones are coming in. So, kind of guy says to me, he can hook me up. I go, with what? He goes, how would you like to be on 100% disability? I said, oh, I like that. I said, but that's money, right? He goes, forget it. He goes, what if I could get you back disability payments? Not only start getting you paid, but I could get you a lump sum up front. I said, really? Because the only kind of lumps I think about at this age are like, the prostate, you want to make sure everything is... No. He goes, I'm talking about a lump of money. I said, a lump of money? How? He goes, well, you got to be 100% disabled. I said, I don't know if I could... He goes, it's 100% disability is not what it sounds like. I said, what do you mean by that? He says, well, if there's certain specific things that for what... Look, who knows the complexity of health and Obamacare and anything? Nobody knows. People go in the hospital for one thing and they never come out. They go in for something that's supposed to be impossible to fix and they come out. You never know. Look at this Ebola thing. The people at the hospital caught Ebola. This is the worst thing that you could ever dream of, is that healthcare workers would catch through the suit. The guy was having the person was wearing the suit. So I don't even want to talk about what that day is like. But for some reason, and health is like this, you can be complete 100% disability, but you're okay, you might be taking a lot of Advil, Aleve, but technically, because of certain things, so I'm like, keep talking, man. I'm in. I said, I'm with this. This is like when Matthew Lesko was going to show you how to get all that money from the government. I said, I'm in. I met Matthew Lesko on the Larry King Show. Remember that book that comes out every year? I'm Matthew Lesko, and these are all the programs. And people do it. And so now I'm like, 100% disability. He goes, 100%. I go, and then a lump sum of money up. He goes, I can get you 3 years of payments. I said, stop. I feel like I just won Wheel of Fortune. I'm going to cry. I'm going to have to call my Aunt Addie. She's going to have to take my call now. I'll leave her a voicemail. This is like, I got all this money. Then she'll call me. Oh, here's Bertha now. Now, Bertha has had a hard time in the financial department over the years. Because obviously she's female, and she's not like...
Being in a Shark Tank.
See? She's not like Becky. Becky is so gorgeous and smart that you don't mind when she talks all that jive. She starts all that jive talking. Bertha Coombs over here doesn't have that magical, she's not...
Ed Till Show.
She's no Heather Locklear. She's no Diane Carroll. Let's get it in the right category. You know what I mean, Julia?
A lot of investors.
She looks like she's yelling at me. So whenever I see her, she looks like an angry nut. It's not a good look. I love them all, though, because the thing about Wall Street, people go, you spend a lot of time on your show covering Wall Street news, because I do Weather Wall Street. I don't guarantee sports every day, because sports is not enough every day. We do sports and film when they happen. Music every day. We do music every day. And I don't want to give away secrets, but the Starcom radio network has a show coming up that's going to blow you away with the music on top of the news, because that's what I believe in. People are saying, I get what you're doing. I go, right? Music and news. One on top of the other. And then they go, well, he didn't play the song through. Exactly. I didn't even finish playing the song. I just satisfied the moment. That's it. But you can't do that. Music and... Oh, yes, I can. And I can talk all over the thing, too. Yeah.
Razor's edge can be a little intense.
By the way, I love the band Lions named Leo. Are they badass? Because, the Lions... what's the one? The Kings of Leon is the famous one. So they have a name that it kind of makes fun of Kings of Leon. I think it's great.
But they're going to be strong. They're probably going to give very nice guidance for the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they probably will. Oh, coffee number 2. I smell it. It just came down. All right, so you want to find out? We're about to lose our first battle in the ISIS thing that was going to be successful. Boy, where does this poor president go? This guy is killing me now. You can't. It's like he whose name we don't say. He goes on television 3 weeks ago. There will not be an outbreak of Ebola in the United States. Boom! There's an outbreak of Ebola in the United States.
He's a voice in the wilderness. It doesn't make any sense.
Is Ebola the village that it started in? Where did they come up with this name, Ebola? Because the British are saying Ebola. I said, don't do that now. I'm just getting used to Ebola, Ebola, Ebola. And they go, Ebola. I go, why? Because of the vowel. I said, shh, zip it. I go, the whole world is saying Ebola. You're going to have to come over to Ebola. He goes, it's Ebola. And then somebody knocks on the president's door. Yes, is it Sasha or Malia? Because if it's not my daughters, I'm not answering. And they go, Mr. President, we must speak to you. It's the Surgeon General. He must speak with you. Don't tell me anything I don't want to hear, and don't tell me anything that's going to contradict what I've already said. I'm very sorry, Mr. President. I don't like the sound of that. Sasha, Malia, get in here. Run interference for Daddy. I mean, this poor guy. Who told him to say anything about Ebola? Why did he say anything? What kind of great advice was he getting? Or is it with this guy, he's like Carter. He just goes in a room of whatever mood he's in, or non-mood. Isn't that Obama's thing? The poor guy. I won't even say his name. They're kicking him around like they're making his name hurt your ears now, right? If people bring him up, I think it's horrible, because I don't want my country to do poorly. You know what? I've lost elections, okay? I've been around. I've been around the block a few times. It's okay to lose an election. It's not okay to have the country go into malaise, stupor, whatever you want to call it. It gets glazy. People start to get glazed. They're like, all right, the army's there, so I guess these guys can't really just take over the country. But, like arguing and then nobody's getting along and nobody knows exactly what the right thing is. So right away people start with the old cop-out. Well, nobody has the panacea. And you go, well, yes, we know that you're just restating the obvious. What actual progress or learning experience or value do you have to bring to the table? If you're in Silicon Valley, the guy would say,